everyone, Razorblade Mango here, and welcome to the last day of 2022. And this is a video that I intentionally wanted to make the very last one that I would be releasing this year. And it is a video about my thoughts on Elden Ring. I don't know if you've heard about Elden Ring. It's a very obscure game made from a very obscure studio called From Software. No, in all seriousness, so I wanted to make this the last video of the year because I wanted enough time to pass for not only my thoughts on the game to marinate, but to create a lot of distance between when I finally talk about this game and the honeymoon phase of when it first came out. Because I'll just be real with you all up front. This video is not going to be a glowing recommendation about Elden Ring. So up front, I like Elden Ring a lot, but this video is mainly going to be focusing on the negatives for me. Let's get into it. So Elden Ring for me, while I think it is very good overall, I'm very divided about it in the way that I think it is two games in one, where one of those games really is the masterpiece that people are praising it as, and the other portion of it is so unbelievably flawed and busted in some way that I'm shocked that it's getting such praise. The side of the game that I love is the open world stuff, because I think Elden Ring is a masterclass in designing an open world and making it enticing to explore. This is a game that is, I think almost without peer, this game, what it does well is it encourages and rewards exploration. And there is so much to explore in this game. I think almost to a fault as far as things like enemy variety and dungeon design. But just the simple act of going out into this world, there aren't any icons bukkakied all over the map or anything like that for you to go to. No, you just get this beautiful, simple, painterly like map, and then it just says go, and you fill out the map as you explore the area, as you find new map fragments and all that. It really is it is outstanding at making you feel like you are going on an adventure, and it's a dangerous adventure, and I loved that. I loved that this world is dangerous, especially in the beginning, when you have no idea what you're doing, or you have some idea of where to go. But if you explore far enough, you could easily stumble into areas that are so outside of your skill level at that point that it's comical. And I'll never forget that, because I was one of those people that, when I first played this game, I was one of those people that accidentally stumbled upon Caelid. And I was nervous when I went through Caelid. And I'll never forget that moment where I was going through the environment and it was green and lush, and then it slowly started to transition into this barren wasteland. And then when you finally get to Caelid and you see that red sky and the horrifying creatures around you, and I remember thinking, oh shit, I don't think I'm supposed to be here. And I was terrified. Like I was just terrified. And I remember too going through Caelid, and I stumbled upon one of the giant dragons that's sleeping there. And I remember walking up to it and thinking, oh, there's this giant dead dragon. And then all of a sudden the dragon started to slowly move, and it awoke, and it just, I kind of just froze, and I went, oh shit, this thing is alive. And the dragon roars, and it summons two more dragons, and I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And I remember just booking it. And that's the kind of shit that I love, because this is a game that allows you to create your own stories, and you can regale your groups of friends or whoever with stories of your adventures or misadventures in this world. And that is awesome. There are so many games that get this wrong, where they feel like they have to create storytelling by cramming in all these like subpar side quests and fetch quests with like minor narrative bits to them. And that can work if you have great writers on hand, but Elden Ring goes the opposite direction, where the side quests are so obtuse at times, and they're difficult to find, they're difficult to complete if you're not following a guide. And that's okay, because by the end of the game, you're going to have plenty of stories that you yourself created because of your adventure, your exploration. And again, that's why it's so fantastic at encouraging you to just go out into this great, wide open, dangerous world and explore. And it's awesome. And I compare that to a game like, and I know a lot of people have unfortunately compared Elden Ring to this game, but I'll compare it to Horizon Forbidden West, where it's in the title, Forbidden West. But when you're Aloy, who's like so decked out with stuff and so experienced, when you get to this place called the Forbidden West, that sounds intimidating. It's really not, because you as Aloy never feel like you're in any great danger. And it's the environment is structured in a way where you could just go from checkpoint to checkpoint and icon to icon, and it's just basic open world shit. And that's, again, Elden Ring breaks away from that mold, and it feels fresh. It feels exciting to go on an adventure, to explore an open world again. As far as open world games, this is easily one of the most interesting ones I've played in a very long time. Another thing too is that Elden Ring dots the environment with so many little things for you to find. So many little secrets, little weird things. You can find a turtle with a Pope hat at one point. I'll never forget the first time I encountered the singing bat lady, the siren. And I remember walking through the environment, and I heard this beautiful singing. I thought, oh my god, where is that coming from? It's such a sad, beautiful song. I must find this. And then when I found the lady, it had its back to me, and I didn't see that it had its wings, and it was this thing that could kill me. And I walked up to it like an idiot, because I thought it was an NPC. And then the lady stopped singing, turned around, and just went, rah, and screamed, and it killed me. And that's great. And I love that it could do that. I love that I went on this little misadventure because it was like following the siren song. And it's so great. I love talking about shit like that from Elden Ring. And a lot of what complements this open world design is because of just how beautiful this game is and how amazing the soundscape is and the music, where it's just this outstanding audio-visual presentation, this outstanding art direction, this terrific soundtrack. And this is a game, what it lacks in raw graphical horsepower, it makes up for in this beautiful, eye-catching color composition, this large variety of interesting-looking enemies and bosses, and I think in this case, unrivaled, iconic signature attention to detail. There are just so many moments in this game where, without context for certain things that you're seeing, it still looks interesting. And then when you learn the context behind certain things, it just makes it even more interesting. And just when I thought, as far as boss design from Software, it was kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, they couldn't come up with any more weird stuff. The bosses in this game, the main ones, and a lot of the side ones too, as far as just pure design, are just wow, visual presentation. They look so great. I love it. I love looking at Elden Ring. I love listening to Elden Ring. I love just sitting somewhere in the world with my headphones on and just listening and trying to pick out the little details and the soundscape and stuff like that. It's just, oh my god, it's so good, and I love it. I cannot accurately put into words how much I love the audiovisual presentation of this game. It's again, this is a game that just flies in the face of this bullshit that games in order to be fun, in order to be engaging, in order to be beautiful, need to have the raw graphical detail cranked up to 11, where we need to have each individual little grains of sand animated and realistically react to the characters. No, you don't need that shit at all. You don't need that. Because look at Elden Ring. Elden Ring doesn't do that. Elden Ring has garbage facial animation in the open world, but it looks beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful games of the year. One of the most beautiful games of the decade, as far as I'm concerned. And that's why everything that I'm saying, that's why it's all the more heartbreaking when I go to the portion of Elden Ring that I do not like, which is the Souls stuff. Which, this feels like From Software designed the open world aspects of the game. And it's great. And again, it has their signature attention to detail. And they did a remarkable job of enticing the player to explore it, to create these beautiful dungeons and all that. Unfortunately, what it comes attached to is what I think to be a very uneven Souls game, where it feels like the Souls elements of this game, things like balancing, the difficulty, movesets, all that stuff, it feels like they were designed by a C-tier team. Like one of these teams who make these like C-grade Souls-like games that follow this misguided notion that Souls games are popular strictly because they are hard. So they feel like they can just go, fuck you guys, get good, here's a boss that does a crazy amount of moves and gives you very little breathing room to recover, have fun, get good. Feels like one of those teams made the Souls-like elements of this game. And I don't necessarily think that a lot of the stuff, I'd say the first 2/3 of it are within reason, that they have the difficulty mostly okay as far as the balancing. My main issue with that is when it comes with the last third, when you start getting to the end game stuff and the post game stuff. That is what sours a lot of my experience with Elden Ring, because it feels punishingly unbalanced and unfinished at times. And I know Hidetaka Miyazaki has gone on record. There are interviews out there where he has said this, where he says that he gives himself a deadline to work on the game and tweak it, and then when that deadline comes, he just drops it and he's done. Like, he can't do it anymore because he'll just work on it forever at that point. And I feel like this is one of those cases where he still had a lot of tweaking and balancing to do as far as the difficulty, and then he just dropped it. And they did very little in the post launch to really remedy a lot of that. And I really just, I'm honestly just astounded by how badly designed I think some of the end game areas are. Like the mountaintop of the giants, I think is awful. I think is awful. One of the worst areas in the Souls series. I think Crumbling Pharaoh Azula is irritating as shit to go through. I don't like it where you have all these massive enemies that are just stacked one on top of each other, and you basically just have to encounter them over and over again, and it's so frustrating. I absolutely hate the last third of this game. It's like getting this really delicious pie, and then the like a third of it is just shit, and it's just covered in maggots and worms, but the rest of it is so delicious, and you just have to eat around the rest of it in order to experience like the stuff that you like. And I've gone through this game a couple times. I did one playthrough that was my main playthrough, and I beat the game. And by beating the game, I mean I beat the Elden Beast, which, you know, it's by no means beating the full game, but the main stuff. And all the other times I've gone through it, I just think there's always that thought in the back of my mind when I go through the stuff that's in the beginning and the middle that I really enjoy. But I think, oh fuck, once I beat, you know, once I get through the capital city, and it's, oh my god, I'm gonna have to deal with all that shit at the the fucking mountaintop of the giants, the crumbling for Azul, and that's when my enthusiasm just deflates, and I just think, oh my god, why? Oh my god. And I think a big problem too with this is that, I'll just be honest, I really don't like a lot of the bosses in this game. Like, I really don't. I think a lot of the bosses in this game are completely fucked as far as balancing and just giving the player enough breathing room to actually recover and do things against them. And they just do all these bullshit combos, these one-hit kills. It's ridiculous. And I think From Software have reached this new height of not knowing when to tone it down as far as how difficult the bosses are. And I've seen a lot of people say that they think this is one of the easiest Souls games, and I completely disagree with that. Oh my god, you guys have no idea how much I disagree with that. And I think a lot of people think that because it's the issue, I think, with what boils down with the bosses is that the character creation and the class customization is so large and eye-wateringly expansive. Like, the amount of classes you can build in this game with these broken-ass builds is nuts. It's crazy what you can do. And I feel like, on its own, that should be complimented. But when you combine that with how I think the rest of the game just can't be balanced properly enough to accommodate this class customization, that's the ultimate problem, because it is so, and again, you can make the argument that, well, From Software gave people the option to make a broken build and to build these way OP characters in order to make these bosses easier. And it's like, yeah, but that to me is not good game design. When you just go, oh, well, we'll just make the bosses fucking brutally hard, and then we'll just have the player, see if they can come up with their own broken build to get past it. To me, that's not good game design. That's bad. I think a lot of these boss designs are just really bad, and especially in the post-game area where you have these like ridiculously hard areas with these invisible enemies that can only be seen if you have specific items and shit like that. It's fucking dumb. And I think there's only maybe a handful of bosses that I liked. Like, I liked Godric the Grafted, I think was great. I actually think they peak very early on as far as the quality of these bosses with Godric. Rennala I really like, because I think Rennala is one of the very few puzzle boss hybrids that I like in this Soulsborne stuff. I think Godfrey at the end is awesome. I like Morgott a lot. And the rest of them are they're either like comically easy, or they're just so overwhelmingly difficult and punishing that it's not fun. With some of the ones that I dislike, I do not like Melania. I don't like a lot of like the mosquito one that comes. I don't like a lot of these like optional bosses. But unfortunately, the main campaign has bosses that I feel like are so stupid, and they're so just badly designed. Like Meliketh the Black Blade, I fucking hate. I think his moveset is horseshit in both of his phases. And the worst one of all, the absolute worst, I think, in what is, in my opinion, the worst boss that I have ever played in one of these From Software made Souls games, the Fire Giant. Oh my god, this Fire Giant is among the very worst bosses I have ever fought in a video game. Whenever I finally, once I've had time away from this game, when I go back to replay this game, and however many years that is, I really am tempted to just stop the game after the final Royal Capital boss, just to avoid the Fire Giant. I hate the Fire Giant. I cannot, similar to like how much I can't put into words how much I love the open world design of this game, I cannot accurately put into words how much I despise the Fire Giant. I I hate this fight with every fiber of my being. And I said this while I was playing it, when I was like going through it with friends. I literally said out loud, if they had given me an option to pay From Software like $5 to skip this fight, I would have taken that deal. I literally would have. That flies in the face of everything that I believe in as far as video games. That's like an Ubisoft thing, to give players the option to skip a fight or something, to pay to skip. In the case of the Fire Giant, I have no shame in admitting that I would have taken it. I would have taken that deal. From Software had said, hey, pay $5, you don't have to fight this fucking boss. Here's the $5. Where do I sign up? Where do I put my credit card? It was that abysmal. That fight is so... I just thinking about it pisses me off. I hate the Fire Giant. I don't know what they were thinking with that fight. It's so bad. It's so awful. Bad is being kind to that boss. Fuck that guy. Fuck that Fire Giant. I hate that fucking fight. And then also specifically with the PC port of this game, because that was my experience with it. It wasn't that great, and I was really surprised by the level of quality with this PC port, because I felt like they were making real progress with Sekiro, because I thought Sekiro was a really, really great PC port of their game. And then I get to Elden Ring, and there's all these like frame rate hitches, and it crashed quite a few times at desktop. And even to this very day, the cutscenes, whenever it cuts during a cutscene at the very end, it hitches and it freezes for a few seconds. And that's unacceptable from Software. I don't know what From Software are doing, but they really need to do better with these PC ports. I thought they were doing better after Sekiro, but I guess not with how Elden Ring performs on it. So it's just such a shame, because just with everything, like I really love 75% of this game. I really do. But I hate I hate the other 25% of it. And the fact that I recommend this game with caveats still goes to show how much I love and respect the rest of it. The 75% of it that I do love is phenomenal. And if it just wasn't for that other 25% of it, I would... this might be my game of the year. It really might be. But as it stands, it's still going to be on the cream of the crop video, because I do really like it. But I say that with an asterisk. And I hate that I have to attach that asterisk to it, because I really wanted From Software to really blow me away, because I feel like From Software have been on a fantastic roll the last few years. You know, with Bloodborne, my God, Bloodborne is amazing. For Dark Souls 3, which I really enjoyed. With Sekiro, which I loved. And then I get to Elden Ring, and it's it's still very good, don't get me wrong. But this 10 out of 10 game of the year masterpiece? I don't think so. I completely disagree with that. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Elden Ring. I wanted to end the video, I wanted to end the year with that. Just get that out of my system. It's too big of a game for me to ignore, because there's so many games that I play where I'm like, I don't think this would make a very good video, but Elden Ring is one of those where I know people know that I've played it. People want to hear my thoughts on it. And here it is. It's Elden Ring. It's I would recommend it again, but just take in mind that if my recommendation is you play through Elden Ring and then pretend that the final boss fight at the Royal Capital is the ending of the game, and then just go explore more from there. And if you want to push beyond that to explore other portions of the map, that's your decision, but I feel like the game is worth it even if you were to stop at the Royal Capital and not go any further. because there is so much content in this game for $60. This is one of those games you get a shitload of bang for your buck. There's so many secrets within secrets within secrets, and so many hidden areas to explore, and it's crazy how much From Software we're able to put in here. I just wish they had better fine-tuned the difficulty and the balancing, and the maybe tone down the class customization a little bit. Or just make the game a little bit easier. Just tone down the difficulty, the damage output just a little bit for these bosses, and lower the health just a little bit. I know that sounds like heresy to a lot of From Software diehards, but that's just how I feel. Sorry, not sorry. I don't love Elden Ring. I really like it, but I don't love it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and thank you all so much for a really good 2022 for the channel. I'll catch y'all in 2023. See ya!